welcome to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest, selling skills Sherpa, customer engagement whisperer, sales marketing professor, and of course, an author too, no other than Mr. CURT F
Hey, Daniel, it's good to be here.
welcome, Mr. CURT. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
You bet, Daniel. So, I am a sales trainer, sales coach. I've worked a great deal of time in the industrial space here in the Americas, in Houston, Texas. And I'm also a professor at the University of Houston, where I teach both a sales class and a marketing class, as well as being the author of Five Stones for Slaying Giants.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. CURT. Hoping for more and more empowering advocacy to come. And today let's talk about sales career. Where do we go from here? So
Hmm.
tell us, Mr. Card.
Where do we go from here, Daniel? The whole world of selling is always in constant change. We're always looking for people who can solve problems. Most of the time, a sale is created when one person is looking to solve a problem and the other person has the tool or the service or the product that can solve that problem. The challenge is always having the relationship, building the bridge of communication so that the salesperson can ask open-ended questions that will draw out, that will uncover, that will discover what truly is the challenge that the prospect or the customer is facing.
Interesting, Mr. Kurt. The traditional ways be closing sales mantra feels outdated. What is the new dominant philosophy for successful sales professionals today?
Daniel, what a great question. I think every one of your listeners and your viewers are interested about artificial intelligence, AI. And will AI take over the world? Will AI take over selling? All it can do is it can expose the weaknesses that will allow artificial intelligence to replicate and to substitute and to then replace inadequate sales training. However, that salesperson who has the art of building relationships and who can read the room and ask better questions can use artificial intelligence to their advantage as they gather information on their prospects and their customers.
Mr. Kurt, how have rising buyer expectations for personalization, instant information, and value fundamentally change the day to day life of a salesperson?
The fundamental change, Daniel, is more and more information can be accessed by the buyer via technology, the internet. And what that does is that reduces the impact and the effectiveness of a sales connection to where it's automated by perhaps placing an order on the internet or automating that process. So we who have a sales career have to get better at offering a technical expertise or an easy access to our knowledge and our experience to help the buyers in their final stages making the right decision.
Making the right decision for sure. So, with so much of the buying journey now happening digitally before salesperson even gets involved, what is the new role of the sales rep in the process?
Great question. I believe the new role is to confirm the information the buyer currently has. We're not trying to tell the buyer they're incorrect. We just want to validate their decision and their research. And if we find areas of correction, we can professionally make those recommendations so that the buyer feels they're still part of the buying journey and we're not coming in to force them up into a place they don't want to go.
There's a lot of talk about AI automating parts of sales, Mr. Kurt. What's the specific task do you see AI taking over, and what tasks that free up humans do?
Hmm. I see artificial intelligence taking over some of the simple transactional order entry. I see it taking over the status updates where the consumer has the power to determine what's the status of my order, where AI will be threatening the outside salesperson is if the outside salesperson or the relationship seller cannot fulfill their obligation in building that relationship. AI will continue to advance and will continue to automate. And the ones who are in a position of weakness or repetition could possibly be eliminated.
So, Mr. Kurt, what are the pros and cons of AI in sales industry?
Mm, mm. Let me take the pros. I love the positivity. As a sales professional, I use artificial intelligence to help me craft better open questions, to help me do better research on the company, better research on the person I'm talking to, better research on the trends of this particular industry. So AI is a tool for me. The cons is that sometimes these salespeople will be good enough where AI gives us some information, but it doesn't give us the ability to listen to voice inflection, to look at the customer and see that they're paying attention or they're not paying attention. So that right now is still a negative portion.
Negative portion for sure. The modern skill set and mindset, Mr. Kurt. Beyond being a good communicator, what are the three most critical skills a salesperson needs to cultivate it to thrive in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, you're throwing the hardball questions at me, Daniel. I think the three top skills will be constantly being an expert at their craft. A salesperson, like a doctor, a salesperson, like an accountant or a lawyer, is constantly learning more, constantly getting better at their game. We in sales have to lean into how can we get better at reading that customer? How can we get better at asking the better open-ended question? How can we get better at positioning ourselves as a valuable resource? These areas, these three critical areas of the relationship edge will allow us to stay in the game. Otherwise, we risk being replaced by an automation such as artificial intelligence.
How has the balance of power shifted between the seller and the buyer, and what does require in terms of a salesperson's mindset?
Mm, great question. I think the balance of power, Daniel, has shifted to where the buyer or the prospect has more access to information. The buyer is well down the path of making their buying decision before they even encounter a salesperson. So I think that's part of the balance of power. The buyer is getting more power in that equation.
Empathy is now a sales buzzword, Mr. Kurt. What does a genuine, actionable empathy look like in a sales conversation, and how is it measured?
Hmm. Empathy has always been walking a mile in another person's shoes or seeing the deal from their side of the desk. To be an empathetic person is to know that person's industry, know that person's daily or weekly demands, so that your solution or your professional recommendation basically addresses what that client, that customer, that prospect needs, wants, and really why is it that they want that solution. And so empathy is that ability. It's almost like a muscle that you exercise at the sales gym. You get better at your empathy when you are intentional about your communication.
In a world of information overload, how can a salesperson truly stand out and become a trusted advisor rather than just another vendor?
Mm. One way to be a trusted advisor is to know about that client's business. If you're trying to sell into the medical field a specific solution, whether it's a product or a service, I believe that that salesperson has to become a mile deep in their expertise of that particular business. You've got to be intentional. You've got to pick a handful of areas where you can be an expert and then lean in and grab the tools to become that expert. Otherwise, you're perceived as a simple order taker. And why do I need to talk to you when I can place the order online?
Technology, tools, and data, Mr. Kurt. Sales tech stacks are more complex than ever. Beyond a CRM, what one or two tools are becoming non negotiable for a modern sales professional?
Any type of a prompt generator, Daniel, something that will allow a salesperson to get very specific in seeking to extract the information from an AI software piece. The second is a coach. Right now, we've got the tools to be able to reverse or to change the paradigm with artificial intelligence. Instead of me asking it to extract information, I would like it to act as my sales coach and it asking me hard questions so I can prepare for the sales call. The tech stack, the sales stack, the CRM, the automatic email generator, those tool suites, they're continuously becoming more of a requirement rather than a luxury. And they're becoming easier to automate. Now I'm just looking for ways of having someone quiz me, coach me, challenge me on my proposal, on my approach, on my pre sales call, so that I can be the best I can be when I actually encounter someone like yourself, very an intelligent person who's asking very strong and reflective questions.
Mr. Kurt, data is a king, but it can also be paralyzing. What are the key metrics a salesperson should be tracking about their own performance, not just their deals?
The performance is measured in the connections that you have with prospects and customers and clients. So the measurement of, am I moving the ball down the field? Am I connecting with a person? Now I know I have to attempt email or leaving a voicemail or using some kind of a marketing tool in order for me to be top of mind awareness. But a tool that the salesman needs is their accountability to stay in getting those repetitions daily, maybe weekly, certainly monthly measurements.
And how can a salesperson use a data and insights to create personalized value for a prospect without crossing the line into being creepy?
I always say you want to be a professional and you don't want to be a pest. So we're no longer talking about calling and touching base or following up. That's useless. There's got to be an intention. The reason I'm following up is I did research on your industry and I saw this. The purpose of my call is to give you two more ideas that I thought about before I made this call for you, so that the receiver of that call, Daniel, whether it's a prospect or a customer or a client, they see me as someone who is generating education and information on my behalf without keeping their hand out asking for the order in return. That is valuable.
Career path and development, Mr. Kurt. The career path used to be simple, right? Manager, what do modern, non-linear career path in a sales look like now?
Well, a lot of it moves to the technical nature, to a sales engineer. Many of the colleges today are offering courses in selling, courses in technical selling, trying to move an engineer into taking sales courses to be more effective and efficient with this communication. Selling is no longer just a commission based turn and burn, just continue to have salespeople go through the turn cycles. Those tools can be automated with an AI engine. So I think what we're seeing in the colleges, especially here in the United States, Daniel, is more colleges are creating structured sales programs around selling, sales management, tech stack and utilization, those kind of areas to provide valuable tools for the entrant into the sales career.
For someone just entering sales today, Mr. Kurt, what is the single best piece of advice you have for building a long term future proof career?
Building a long-term future-proof career in sales requires the human side, the human element, the empathy, the communication. I would challenge anyone listening or watching to look for books, look for podcasts, look for seminars that look at the relational side of selling. We can all type in information into a CRM. We can all create forecasts and pipeline, but connecting with that person, getting the opportunity, and then knowing what to do with it, that's something that you can get better at by simply making the conscious effort to learn how to be more relational with people.
Mr. Kurt, as a selling skill Sherpa, customer engagement whisperer, sales and marketing professor, what are your short term and long term goals as well as an author?
My goals are to continue what I'm doing as it relates to coaching and mentoring and speaking and developing sales training for small and medium sized customers. It's my passion. The beautiful thing about that, Daniel, there's no age limit to that. I can do this for another 20 years. I can still be relevant. I can still connect with people in their 20s and I can connect with people in their 60s. So, my short and long term is to be able to come alongside and offer valuable coaching, valuable ideas so that the sales journey is not fraught with so much frustration.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Kurt, and looking forward for more success. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
One of the ones that influenced me the best, or the most rather, is Hope is Not a Strategy. What a great book as it relates to selling. Of course, Jerry Acuff, in his book called The Relationship Edge in Business, is by far one of the best books for a sales professional to see the relational side. Jerry Acuff, Acuff, and his book is The Relationship Edge in Business.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Kurt. And how should a seasoned sales professional who learn in a different era approach and learning all habits and retaining for the new environment?
Best thing to do is to create a mentor group, a group of other people that can hold you accountable to the professional art and skill of selling. Don't do this on your own. Um, it has been proven that the sales pro that tries to do this on their own can quickly be replaced.
Mr. Kurt, with remote and hybrid work becoming a norm, how can salespeople build a genuine rapport and strong team relationships without sharing an office?
They become adaptive. We adapt into the culture of Zoom calls, we adapt into Microsoft Team calls, and we continue to try to have coffee or break bread with other like-minded sales professionals so we're not isolated. Being isolated working remote is very lonely. It's very discouraging. There's no one to share a win with. There's no one to strategize with. Remote salespeople need people who can come alongside them in a master class and a mastermind so that they can keep the edge of their, here's the analogy, to keep the edge of your sword sharp, You've got to constantly work with other people and iron sharpening iron, have that one salesperson sharpen another.
Personal strategy and future proofing, Mr. Kurt, in a competitive job market. How can a salesperson assess whether a company's sales culture, tools, and processes are modern and will set them up for success?
In the interview process, in your discovery calls, using the AI tools, you can ask AI to do a deep dive in these companies that you're looking to partner with. What tools do they use? When you're on the interview, you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. Do you want to put your energy into a company that is antiquated, that doesn't believe in training, that doesn't have any automation or tech stack? That just proves that they're moving in a different direction. That's not bad if you're willing to take on that burden. I would rather ask the questions about forward thinking companies who build a sales culture through training, through development, through a sales tech stack, making your job as a sales pro in front of the customer face to face more important than the tech stack.
What does continuous learning look like for a sales pro, Mr. Kurt? Where should they be investing their time for professional development?
One of the things I do as a professional salesperson is I listen to podcasts where we talk about sales, sales training, sales ideas. I listen to podcasts that talks about relationship, building those things. To future proof, you've got to take this seriously. You have to sell paranoid. You have to sell as if someone is about to undercut your deal, drop their price, and take your quote off the table. The only way to sustain that is to be able to have that forward thinking, build those relationships, have that more professional attitude. And the last thing, Daniel, to future proof, you've got to be able to tell a better story. When all things are equal, when the price seems to be the same, when the product or the service seems to be the same, that salesperson who can carve out a story based on the discovery call has the ability to stay at the table a little bit longer and win the deal.
Yes, a better story for sure. Burnout is a real issue in sales. What strategies and boundaries are essential for maintaining long term health and performance as a high pressure field?
There was a gentleman who wrote a book. His name was Cody Bateman. He wrote a book on promptings, and he talks about in motorcycle riding, dirt bike riding, you actually loosen the grip when you're holding the motorcycle handlebars. The concept or the analogy is we who are in high pressure sales, we've got to loosen the grip on what we can and can't control. We can't control people. We can't cure people. All we can do is influence them with our value proposition. And at the end of the day, as hard as it seems, we have to allow them to make their decision. They may choose us for all the right reasons. They may reject us for all the wrong reasons. And we have to let it go. As difficult as that sounds, there's nothing more we can do because we're dealing with human beings. And when you've seen one, you've seen one.
Looking at the biggest trends, AI, economic uncertainty, remote work, what is the single greatest opportunity for sales professionals who adapt well?
It's to anticipate where the market is going and to be there with a story, with a value proposition that allows that customer to either increase their productivity or decrease their costs. You've got to be able to have a product or a service that can at least articulate that at any level in the organization. That way, you are seen as that valuable information provider with skin on, not an AI large language model.
Mr. Kurt, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. I'm a food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season. And my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season, and movie 101 review, music 101 and fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Finally, Mr. Kurt, for anyone feeling uncertain about the future of a sales career, why are you more excited about its potential now than ever before?
I'm excited now more than ever before of being able to move into new technologies. Through the advent of artificial intelligence and some of the leapfrogs that they're doing, we're discovering new markets and new technologies that requires a sales professional to be at the sharp and pointy edge of the spear, to break that ground, to have those conversations, and to move into areas that is not commoditized. That's exciting.
Mr. Kurt Tuffer, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your book, or anything you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
Daniel, I would love to. It's simple. It's my website. It's peaksalesstrategy.com. Peaksalesstrategy.com. There you can learn all about me. You can sign up and chat with me. We can exchange ideas. Great place to start. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yes, indeed. Let's support Mr. Kurt Tufert, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Kurt, can you please expound the phrase that on your website, training, coaching, speaking?
Sure. What I do is I add value by creating a baseline of assessments, assessing behavior and assessing a sales skill, and then putting a customized program together using Zoom as my vehicle. Many salespeople and many sales managers can't afford to have professional salespeople come to their offices. What if they could have an economic way to have that kind of talent available in sales coaching using the tools of Zoom? That's what I do.
More to come, people. See you soon.